Today, I'd like to talk about the effect of the pandemic on Converge and its services to its customers. During the pandemic, we saw a large surge in demand as our Filipino brothers and sisters transitioned to more of a work from home setup. And of course, with the lockdown, even, should we say, entertainment from home. And as the school season started, we also had learning from home. We saw very strong demand, and it has actually led to some issues in terms of scaling, as it was totally unexpected. One of the issues we had to face was during the strict lockdown, it was next to impossible to hire people. And assuming we would be able to hire them, it was not that easy to train them, especially for those who do field work, like linemen, installers, who actually need to do hands-on training with equipment and fiber. We were able to resume that after the ECQ was lifted. But during that 2-month period, it was really very difficult. So our customer service people were not all able to come to work. Our field people, after we got the IATF licenses, they were able to start resuming field work. To give you an idea of what the effect was, we had more than 100 people who actually lived inside our call center facility in Pasig. The company and the employees themselves decided that it would be best if they would stay locked down inside to minimize the possibility that they would get sick or infected. So more than 100 of them over a 2-month period. The installations, we were hit with a double whammy. There were not enough crews, and there was a very large number of installation orders. It was also not easy because there were selective lockdowns all over, some in a barangay level, some would be city, some even on a province level. So it was not easy. We got through it, but it actually caused some dissatisfaction among those who were not served in a timely manner. There is this question about what the positive effect of the vaccine announcements would be. What we are hearing from customers is that this situation has actually caused them to think about the future of work. There is a piece of work that requires people to actually be on site. So just to give an example, if you're a person who looks after the data center or the network, then you have to be inside the data center. Call center people, for example, they could work from home as long as they have a good, reliable, and fast connection, or they can still work in the office. Office-bound people, again, it depends on the nature of work. But what many people are saying is that it appears that working from home provides more or less the same kind of efficiency and productivity as, compared to going to the office. One of the benefits, of course, is now you save on travel time, knowing that, Philippines has a reputation for having very heavy traffic. The downside, though, is some people are saying that they're getting a bit burned out. Since now you're almost 100%, working, it is kind of taxing. But then, of course, there should be mitigations for that, whether from a company level or on a personal level. It's still okay to take breaks, even when you're in the office. So we think that there's a high likelihood that the workplace is going to have a permanent change. We think in Converge that it's going to be more of a hybrid model where there will be people who are working in the office, depending on the nature of the job, as I mentioned. There will be people who are on hybrid, meaning partly work from home, partly work in the office. And there will be people who could be equally effective and efficient purely working from home. So that's our view of what the workplace will look like moving forward, even when the lockdowns are lifted. How I work and live has changed. So it hasn't been really major because we've always believed in a situation called work-life integration. Work-life balance is a bit different because it would mean that you have to make a choice between one or the other. What we have learned again is that it is possible to be effective and efficient even working from home. And one of the key learnings as well is that now you are measuring output and not time spent, which, in the end, I believe is the right way anyway. And there must be a level of trust. But having said that, it's also helpful to have the ability to measure the output and productivity of a person. Obviously, in terms of relationship management, it is a bit difficult, not just, dealing with customers, but also with your own family. Like, my parents are in their 80s and they are a bit wary about having visitors for obvious reasons. In terms of work, most of the interaction has generally been virtual. Of course, you lose the part of, the warmth and camaraderie of being physically present. But I think, people have gotten used to it. Maybe what it also probably means is that it could be an equalizer in the sense that customers are now going to be judging providers and suppliers more on merit rather than, just on being always physically present and, cultivating, personal relationships. So Converge thinks that on a level of the business, it has been a net positive. As I mentioned, it drove growth. It created a permanent paradigm shift. Even in our case, now we realize that the level of BCP has to be deeper than what we formerly used to think of. Things like earthquakes, fires, flooding. Now, health-related issues like the pandemic needs to really be inculcated in your BCP plans. So on a more personal basis, of course, I hope that the pandemic will eventually end, that we can go back to normal. But sorry to use an overused term, it will be a new normal.